You know what's hilarious? People think saving 10 grand requires living like a monk. Haha, wrong. You're not broke because you enjoy life. You're broke because you confuse pleasure with spending. And, there's a difference. A big one. I'm Professor Chalkman. I've taught thousands of people to save serious money. And in the next 10 minutes, I'm going to show you how to bank $10,000 without hating your existence. But here's the sacrifice. You have to stop lying to yourself about what actually makes you happy. Let me paint you a picture. You're sitting at a coffee shop, $7 latte. You're scrolling your phone, barely tasting it. Someone asks, "Why do you come here every day?" And you say, "Because I love it." Do you? Or do you love the idea of it? The aesthetic? The Instagram story? The routine that makes you feel like you have your life together? See, here's where people screw up saving. They cut the things they actually love and keep funding the things they think they're supposed to love. That's not budgeting. That's self-sabotage. I had a student once, let's call her Maya. She came to me stressed, broke, trying to save for a down payment. $10,000 felt like climbing Everest. So I asked her, "What do you spend money on that genuinely makes you happy?" She said, "My weekend hikes with friends, my art supplies, Sunday brunch with my mom." I said, "Cool. What else?" She listed 15 other things: subscription boxes, a gym membership she used twice, takeout she didn't even enjoy, just ordered out of exhaustion. I looked at her and said, "Maya, you're funding a life you don't even like." She started crying right there. Not because I was mean, because it was true. Here's the thing. Maya wasn't spending on joy. She was spending on avoidance, convenience, numbness, the path of least resistance. And that's the trap, you know? We think cutting expenses means cutting happiness. But most of your spending, it's not buying happiness. It's renting distraction. You ever notice how "I deserve it" only applies to expensive stuff? Never salads. Haha. Never a walk in the park. Never 8 hours of sleep. Nah. "I deserve it" means another DoorDash order at 10 p.m. that you'll regret by 10:30. So here's how we're going to do this. We're going to save you $10,000 in 12 months without making you miserable. That's about $833 a month. Sounds like a lot, right? It's not. It's $30 a day. You're already spending that. You're just spending it on things that don't matter. The most important thing that you should do is to audit your joy. Not your spending, your joy. For 2 weeks, every time you spend money, you're going to ask yourself one question. On a scale of 1 to 10, how much happiness did this actually give me? Not how much you wanted it to give you. How much it actually did. That latte? Maybe a 6. That concert with your best friend? A 10. That impulse Amazon order? A 3. And you forgot about it 2 days later. I'll give you an example. I had a guy, let's call him James, mid-30s, spent about $400 a month on his car. Premium wash every week, new accessories, custom floor mats, air fresheners. I asked him, "Does your car make you happy?" He said, "Yeah, man, I love my car." I said, "Cool. When's the last time you went on a road trip? When's the last time you drove somewhere just for fun?" Silence. He used that car to commute to a job he hated, sit in traffic, and park in a garage. That's it. But he kept pouring money into it because he thought it made him happy. So we ran the numbers. If he cut that $400 a month down to a basic wash once a month, $50, he'd save $4,200 a year. You know what he did with that money? Took a 2-week road trip through national parks. Said it was the happiest he'd been in 5 years. Same car, different priority? That's the game. You're not cutting joy. You're cutting the performance of joy. Picture this, and be honest with yourself. You walk into your home right now. Look around. How much of what you own actually makes you smile? How much of it is just there? Dust collectors, guilt, reminders of the person you thought you'd become if you bought that thing? Yeah, that's what I thought. Let me tell you about my little sister Sarah. She spent $200 a month on a gym membership, boutique fitness classes, the works, barely went. Felt guilty every time she didn't. But she loved walking, loved hiking, loved bodyweight workouts at home. Free stuff. So why was she paying $200 to feel bad about herself? Because she thought that's what fitness was supposed to look like. She was paying for an identity, not a result. I told her, cancel it. Take that $2,400 a year and put it in a savings account. Go hike every weekend instead. She did. Lost 15 pounds, saved the money, and stopped hating herself every month. Here's what's wild. People will finance a car faster than they'll fund their future. Ha ha ha. Wild. They'll drop $100 on brunch without blinking, but saving $100 feels like pulling teeth. Why? Because saving doesn't give you dopamine right now. It's delayed gratification, and we suck at that. But you know what's funny? The stuff that actually makes us happy. Deep relationships, experiences, freedom, peace of mind. That stuff is built on delayed gratification. You can't buy freedom on credit. Let me break down the math for you. $10,000 in 12 months, $833 a month. Here's the 4 ways most people I work with hit it. First, eating out less. Not zero, but less. You're not cutting joy. You're cutting the Tuesday night pizza you didn't even want. That saves about $300 a month. Easy. Second, subscriptions you forgot about. Another $100 a month. Spotify, Netflix, that meditation app you used once, the skincare box, the book club you never read. You know what I'm talking about. Third, impulse buys. Amazon, Target runs, just browsing that turns into $300 of stuff you don't need. Cut that in half. That's another $150 saved. Fourth, one less big treat-yourself purchase per month. Shoes, gadgets, whatever. That's $200 right there. Add it up. That's $750 a month. You're already at $9,000 a year. The rest? You'll find it in the couch cushions once you start paying attention. You'll understand what I mean soon enough, but the people who actually hit their savings goals, they're not the ones who will power their way through misery. They're the ones who get honest about what they actually value. I'll never forget this one guy. Let's call him David. Came to me, wanted to save for his wedding. 10 grand in a year. He was spending about $600 a month going out. Bars, clubs, dinners with people he didn't even like that much. He felt obligated. FOMO, you know? I said, David, do you actually enjoy this? He paused. Then he said, no. I feel anxious the whole time. I'm just afraid if I stop going, I'll lose my friends. I looked at him and said, brother, if your friendships cost $600 a month, those aren't friendships. Those are subscriptions. He went quiet. Then he laughed. Then he teared up a little. He cut back. Started saying no. Invited people over instead. Game nights, cookouts, cheap stuff. Guess what? The real friends stayed. The expensive ones faded. He saved the 10 grand in 11 months, got married, and told me later that the year he spent saving was the year he actually figured out who he was. That's the thing people don't tell you about saving money. It's not about the money. It's about clarity. When you stop spending to fill the void, you actually have to face what the void is. And yeah, that's uncomfortable, but it's also freedom. Look, here's the reality. You can save $10,000 without being miserable, but you have to redefine what misery means. Is misery skipping a night out? Or is misery being 45 years old, still living paycheck to paycheck, wondering where it all went? Is misery saying no to stuff you don't care about? Or is misery saying yes to everything and having nothing to show for it? Stop calling it sacrifice. Call it the entry fee to freedom. Now for your homework? For the next 7 days, I want you to track every dollar you spend. But here's the twist. Next to each expense, write a number from 1 to 10. That's your joy score. How much happiness did it actually give you? By day 7, you're gonna see a pattern. You're gonna realize most of your money is going to 4s and 5s, when you could be funding 8s, 9s, and 10s. Then, take your 3 lowest scoring expenses, the ones that drain your account but don't fill your soul. Cut them. Redirect that money into a separate savings account. Do that for 12 months, and you'll have your $10,000, maybe more. You're not broke because you enjoy life. You're broke because you're funding someone else's version of it. This is Professor Chalkman. Class dismissed.